Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Everybody, this is Larry Yates on the Larry Yates Show. Just in case you're wondering who am I am looking right at me because there's a little camera that is feeding right back into me, and I'm looking at myself and I say, "Yo, wait a minute, Larry, you're on the air right now." Thank you. Hey, I got those good emails, and I got a little complaint about some of my audience out there because you guys have been really kind of unfair to me. You've been beating up on your boy because I haven't had enough play people in here. So I like that phrase, play people. Actually, we get a lot of musical people in here. We get a lot of people from politics and religion, and you know the thing. So, and I promise you guys, and I want to thank my people in Laguna for suggesting that I look into this cast that's going to join us today. Normally, I start off with a little bit of politics. What's going on with Hillary? I don't care today. What's going on with Barack Obama? Oh, I can't say I don't care. What's going on with the Republican Party? I don't care today. Today, we're going to have a little fun, and I think as we move forward, we're probably going to move in and kind of visit all of these guys. So lots going on in the news out there. And I think by meeting this cast, we'll be able to incorporate a lot of the thoughts that we're all having, have a little fun with it, bring in a little bit of politics, keep a little religion in there. And then I want to hear some of the best, not hear, but see and get some of the best messages I've ever gotten from you guys, because I want you to all say this was the best cast we've had on this show. Now, I'm going to introduce you to some people. Now, look, here again. I'm not all the way here. I suffer from a poverty of words every now and again. But what we're going to do is have a little fun with this new play that was brought to my attention. And, I love supporting theater. And the Citizen and American Lyrics. I have not seen the play. I did read a lot about it. I actually had my guys to do a little checking up on this show and these guys here. So we're gonna have a little fun here. But first, let's go. I'm gonna go to the cast. I'm gonna introduce, sitting to my right. Wait a minute. Let me ask the cast. Should I introduce the white person or the black person or the African American first or the male first? Which one should I go?
Well, I'm the man, so guess what? I'm last no matter where you start.
See, that's the guy that I know what I'm talking about. We was having a little fun about this off the air. But actually, starting from my right to left, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Simone Missick.
I'm Bernard Addison.
And I'm Lisa Pescia.
And look, it is just such a pleasure having you guys here. And when this play came to mind, and some friends of mine, and I was telling the young ladies a few minutes ago, the people that brought this to mind is generally I'm the only chocolate-covered person that's in the room with the group of people that brought this play to mind, because I'm always having this conversation about how culturally we end up saying things that don't realize we're hurting other people's feelings, or we don't understand the root of what the meanings of these phrases and these tones and these sounds are. And so this is so interesting to me. So someone start off and tell the audience about this play and what this play means.
Do you want me to do it?
Sure.
I guess so. Well, the play is based off of a novel, a poetic novel called Citizen, American Lyric by Claudia Rankine, and it has been making the rounds both critically and commercially. It's won several awards for its writing. It's it's stream of consciousness. It's meditation. It's all about her experience and her experience in interviewing others around the racial question these days, because everyone thought that with the election of Barack Obama that we were in a post-racial society, and we're discovering through social media and other forms that we have a lot of onions to uncover, onions to peel, I should say. And so this novel came to the attention of Stephen Sachs, who is the co-artistic director of the Fountain Theater, and he fell in love with it, got the rights to it, and adapted it.
Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah,
Shout out to
Stephen.
Stephen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Happy belated birthday, Stephen.
Oh, happy belated birthday, Stephen. So, Lisa, how did you get involved in this?
Well, I had worked with the director before, Shirley Jo Finney, who is amazing, has an amazing track record as a director in Los Angeles and other places too, probably.
Hi, Shirley Jo Finney.
Hi, Shirley Jo.
Yeah.
And we had worked on a project together, and I saw that she was doing this project, and the cast doesn't even really know this story, I don't think. And I wrote her on Facebook, and I said, hey, I'd like to be a part of that. Is there anything I can do in it? And she said, well, yes, actually.
Wow.
And so she invited me in, and I hadn't even read it. I just said yes because I wanted to work at the Fountain. I wanted to work with Shirley Jo. And then once I got into process of working with all these excellent actors, it was a journey. It was a real journey of discovery for me as one of the only white people in the cast. So.
And Simone, I mean, meeting you, you're such a powerful, brilliant, beautiful young lady, and I'm sure it takes a lot of energy to get in here and bring out the best that you can bring in this. But what kind of message would you say the show or yourself want to deliver in this kind of play?
I think that the words of the writer, Claudia, which are the most important, are that we need to be aware of what we say, and we also need to rectify what we do when we say things that are dismissive or destructive or divisive, and not just let it go. And if we are the people who have been offended, to speak up. She came from a very singular place of wanting to address the things that have happened to her. And then she realized she wanted to open it up and get stories from other people. And the way that the poetry is written, it's almost as though it comes from the mind of one person. Mm-hmm. But we can all see ourselves in every situation that the play puts you in. Either you are the aggressor and you've said something wrong.
Well, that would be me all the time.
No, that's usually me.
In the play, it's you.
But give me give the audience an example of what you're talking about between the three of you.
There is a moment in the play where I'm standing and I hand out my credit card to pay for something, and
I am his friend.
And he's his friend, and the person behind the counter looks at the credit card, looks at me, and says, "Do you think your credit card will work?" And I think a lot of people may have had that kind of slight about someone looking at you and making a quick assumption. But it goes deeper than that, because my friend is next to me, who happens to be Caucasian, white, and she says nothing, and I say nothing. And that is one of the moments, that's a small moment, but it's a moment that people can identify with, that these things happen, and the tendency is to let them go most of the time. The tendency is to not make a big deal out of it, but they happen regularly. And as they happen regularly, they begin to add on to you and add on to you. And it becomes something that becomes part of your body, becomes part of your existence. And they ultimately, begin to work against you if you don't speak up for yourself.
So in this particular instance, I love that because the lightning bolt hit you and penetrated you to your core, but your friend didn't acknowledge the pain in your face or the shifting in your body at that time.
You don't know
And
what
he
your
So
friend
now
is
you
thinking.
got to carry and hold that pain as if it didn't happen, but all at the same time, both of you actually knew it did happen.
Yeah, that is true. It affects both people, but in different ways. And the play is about those small moments and really just taking a snapshot of those moments in time and how they add up. Like with Simone, particularly Simone kind of threads the needle of the show on how these things impact a person.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
The way that Stephen adapted the piece, it follows Citizen One, and all of us have numbers. So that it's universal. It's not Mary, Joe, Johnny. It's Citizen 1 through Citizen 6.
Oh, interesting.
And the story follows Citizen 1 through her own personal struggles with dealing with these constant
Microaggressions.
which
That's
is
the
what
word.
we're calling it now.
I love that phrase, microaggression.
I think it's just ignorance, but we can flower it up however
I
we
love it,
want.
I love it.
Because I think that when we call it things like microaggression, we distance ourselves from what it is.
Very well stated. Give me an example of something that happened to you in real life.
Wow.
No, to be honest, I can't really think of. I can, but
Because I got about 9,000, but they don't want to hear me.
No. I can think of something that has happened to me recently, and it's so personal that I don't want to really share it. But it was actually from a person of my own race who said something that I felt was harmful, and that was just coming from a place that I didn't quite understand why that person would say that. And
Well, let me ask you a question.
In that moment, I asked the questions to get to the place of, do you understand what you're saying?
I get that you because I would never want you to come on and share anything personally that you don't want to. But the audience want to kind of know. Even not pulling yourself out of it personally, give us a situation where you witnessed.
Well, I'll give
something.
I'll give you an example. Something that happened to me. That's very, very interesting, and it's one of those things. There was a few years ago, because I also teach. There was a few years ago that we had an interim principal at my school, and I missed the meeting where we said hello to each other. So I was on my way to going to my class. And as I came into the office and was signing in, and I think I had on jeans and a T-shirt because I teach theater, and so I'm downstairs. This principal comes up to me and he starts talking. And I said, "Oh, you must be the new principal. Nice meeting you." We were having small chat and small conversation. And he said, so are you the custodian?"
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I said, "No, I'm not the custodian. I am teaching." He was smart enough to apologize, because that's a big one.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. But
you
there was,
both kind of shake a loose on that one.
you just go,
All the gears inside you kind of start to shake on that
and
one.
I knew I had him in my pocket for the rest of the year.
Well, at least, okay, you've been a white lady and been
Your whole life.
I have.
A
Yes,
part
I've
of
been
your
a-
life, anyhow. I would have never guessed you was white your whole life.
And from
But-
North Carolina.
Oh my
Oh.
God! Have you
And
witnessed?
Bernard's from South
have you
Carolina.
actually? Have you witnessed these things and didn't say anything in your real life?
Yes, and I just wanted to say that, we were together 6 weeks rehearsing this show before it opened, and almost at every rehearsal, the director was kind enough, Shirley Jo was great with letting us talk about things that we had discovered about ourselves in this process connected to race, and also sharing honest feelings with each other, because we were largely a group of people who didn't know each other. So we had to get to know each other in this way in order to be able to deal with the subject matter. Because one of the things that I've found in working on this show is that there's so much fear on both sides, white and black, about talking honestly about the subject. And what we have hoped through doing this show is that it opens up that conversation and makes it, something that can be discussed.
That's a good point. Let me ask you, what do you think the basis of that fear, and how is that fear manifesting itself in our daily lives?
I'll give you an example, because I was getting to an example. So on the first read-through of the play, I know the director, and I can't remember how we got into it, but she said to me in front of everybody, because she was across the table from me, so everybody could see me, everybody heard her, everybody saw the whole thing. She said, I remember, I said, I had asked the question, what am I doing here as one of the only white people in the show? Am I just supposed to be the villain? Am I the bad guy in the piece? And she said to me, when you look at me, we're friends, right? And I said, yeah, we're friends. And she said, do you see color? And I got so scared because I didn't know them, and I didn't know what I was supposed to say. I didn't know if I was going to say the wrong thing. What's the right answer? It felt like a trick question to me. And so I said, yes, I do. I mean, and then I started backpedaling. Well, I'm from the South. And, it's like, that's what I see. I see color. And then we finished the rehearsal, and I went out into the parking lot, and I felt so bad. I felt like I had insulted people. I felt like, they must hate me now. Everybody hates me in the room. And one of the other black actresses said to me, that's not true. And you saying that Southern thing was just an excuse. It's like, we see color. Mm-hmm. But eventually, what we got around to in the discussion was, you can see color, but then do you prejudge because of what you see,
Simone, you was agreeing with that.
Yeah, because I believe at the table, I responded, and I've said this many times, there are I hear this a lot, especially when people adopt children outside of their race. If it's a black child who gets adopted into a white family, they say, we just want to raise them with love. We don't see color. And yet everybody else in your community sees color. So this child is constantly told outside of your loving home, you're black, you're different, you're bad, you're ignorant, you're this, you're that. And the parents wanting to shield their children, thinking that it's helping them, don't address it. They don't address what is the cultural uniqueness, all the good things that go along with being whatever ethnicity the child is, whether it's black or Asian or Latino or European or whatever. If it's different from the parent, it's their responsibility to address it. But so many people try this kind of PC, flowery.
Heads in the sand when they ignore.
Yeah, and it does a major disservice to the kid.
Now, what attracted you to Citizens?
I had been invited by Shirley Jo to do a table read, and I've worked with Shirley Jo on several other plays, and so I always know that if it's a Shirley Jo Finney production, it's of value.
Way to go, Shirley.
Way to go, Shirley Jo! Woo!
Shirley Jo!
Shirley Jo.
I haven't met you yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
But she asked me to do the reading, and Bernard, myself, and Tina Lifford, who's another actress in the play, were three of the cast members who did the reading. And it was just so that Stephen could hear it and see the audience's reaction and see if people were interested and how did they feel about it, because he had just adapted it. And it blew my mind. It just completely.
But no, let me ask you, because the reason I love the way you guys are talking about this now, because at first I was like, okay, how are we going to make this conversation work? But it's really, really well. I want to tell you, you guys are doing a great job. I'm the one that's just sitting here. I'm blown away by the lessons that is being learned among everybody. But were you at the table when she made the statement that she saw?
Oh yeah,
color?
I was there.
How did that make you? let me ask the question this way: not how did it sound necessarily, but how did it make you feel?
Well, to me, it was. I was listening to it in a different light because I felt Lisa's reservation. Because if you're going to talk about race, it tends to be that if you're thinking about good guys and bad guys, it's going to be black people good, white people bad. Okay? So that's a legitimate concern as to whether or not she feels how this piece is going to portray her, that she's going to have to be the person
that black people bad, white people good kind of scenario.
Yeah.
No, the
Good
Reverse.
Oh, you did the
Black
reverse.
people good, white people bad.
Okay, I wanted to make
You
sure
know,
because a lot of times,
it's
let
like,
me
you
just
know-
say this. That was so profound of what you just said is that we're so used to hearing it the other way that a lot of people that's listening to you didn't catch that.
Okay.
So repeat that again for me, please.
I was just sort of reiterating that Lisa's concern, which I gathered, which is that in storytelling, when you're talking about a story that's a racially themed subject, 99% of what you see, the black people are noble and kind, being tramped upon by the white people in the play. You can think about a movie like The Help, for instance. It's pretty clearly drawn.
Okay.
This play and what I think Shirley Jo was trying to get at to the heart of the conversation with Lisa, to actually talk about what's present, talk about what's now, and not what's a story, because we don't know what the story is. This is an adaptation of a lyrical novel that doesn't have a story.
So in that moment, you kind of understood and felt where she was coming from.
Yeah, I was empathetic,
Okay.
but I also knew that in terms of where this could go, I don't think we're going to be that broadly drawn with people. I think there are varying degrees of instances in the play where some are blatant and some are totally forgetful.
I know we can't give away the play because
most
we
of
want
them most of them happen among friends, which is the big key thing about this play.
Oh, really?
Is that
Give me an example of that, if you will. Because I want people, the ones that are those of you that's here in the LA area. I want you to go and support this. And so I'm asking them questions that might entice you, even if you're not saying I don't want to go. But no, you got to go see this. You got to support these actors, actresses, because this is a wonderful story, and I'm sure. And what's the producer name? The writer,
Producer Simon Levy
Simon Levy,
and the writer Stephen Sachs.
Yeah, we're always talking about good entertainment that means something, messages, and all of this type of stuff. And that's what I'm so glad that you guys are here. And I want to support that myself. But as you move forward and explain, and the what do you see the core of all of this anger and all of this coming from? I'm sorry, the fear. You guys keep saying fear. Where do you think the fear is coming from?
I think that there is anger too.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Okay,
all
part
kinds
of
of
it.
things,
okay.
all kinds of feelings.
Yeah.
Because I think that the people who do not speak up for themselves not only have anger at the person who offended them, but at themselves. And that's the thing that we don't, you see a lot of people on social media who say the craziest stuff, and they use it under the guise and under the curtain of a social media profile. And so they say all of these ridiculous, racist, hurtful, hateful things because there's no one there to check them.
Let me ask you a question. Now, you made a great point when you talked about a child being adopted into a black child being adopted into a white family, for instance. Do you think that I'm asking all of you this question? Do you think that the individual blacks and white get to realize this more when they're in an interracial relationship?
No.
Do you think that they get to see this and recognize the incorrectness that people are.
Do you mean is the awareness enhanced?
Yes, is the awareness
I
enhanced?
can tell you
yes.
that my awareness is enhanced just by being a part of this cast. So I mean, I can't answer for people that are in an interracial relationship, but just I mean, we had gotten 4 weeks into the rehearsal process, and people started coming in to the theater going, I'm so sensitive to everything that people are saying and everything that I'm seeing, and me too. I mean, I was like so aware of, how people were treating each other, how they were talking to each other. So I can't imagine that it wouldn't increase the awareness. But I don't know.
Oh yeah, we have a young man.
Yeah, I'm in an interracial relationship. So, when Jean came to see the show, she just sort of like looked around, to sort of gather everybody's feelings about it, and I had a long conversation with a young lady that was in tears about she said she thought she was crazy. And this play showed her that she wasn't crazy. All the things and all the thoughts that were going on in her head and all the feelings that she was having. She thought she was insane to have these feelings because things are fine. But she recognized that this is a universal thing, that if you don't speak up for yourself, then it's gonna wear on you. And we had a long conversation about exactly what goes through my day.
You and Jean.
Yes. A long conversation about, tell me about what goes on through your day.
So
This was the first time you all had this conversation?
Well, we've had many conversations like that, but not this deep.
Wow.
And how long have you two been together?
We've been together for about a couple of years.
Oh, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Just gathering, because that does make it makes a
No,
difference.
it actually.
If you guys have been together for that long and you have had these conversations, but not that deep, that shows how deep and how constant the barrage of these things are, that you probably, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but you might get to a point where you're like, I'm done talking about it. Or it's so constant that you don't think about it as often but her watching it played out on stage.
Yeah.
I had a similar moment with my husband who's black. And in the play, there's a moment, and I'm not going to give away too much of the play because you all need to go buy tickets.
You need to go buy tickets.
Theater.com and come and see it. But there's a moment where one of the actors is sitting on the train, and she notices that a woman does not want to sit next to a man on the train and we assume it's a black man, and she doesn't want to sit next to him. And so this character sits next to the man and starts to ponder all the things that this man has probably had to go through. And as I'm sitting in the audience on opening night, I hear my husband go, And we as actors love to hear that noise because it means that the audience is listening, that they're present, that we're hitting them in a way. We don't listen for it. We're not out of the play and not
But it's the feedback
but
you're
you
getting.
feel it. You feel it more than anything. And so I know my husband's voice like I know my own. And when I heard that, I, for the first time, realized that happens to him all the time. And he's from New York. He's ridden the train his whole life. And it's constant.
It's
I
constant.
never, as we're working through the play, as I've read the play dozens of times, never thought about him.
Hold on just a minute. I got to cut Simone off right now because we have to go to a musical break. We have to take care of some technical problems here. So we're going to go to a musical break. And she's going to thank me for cutting her off at this point when she comes. But we have a little technical break. Listen to the music. What are we playing? Yours. We're playing, look, we're going to introduce my first blues. Saw it on Facebook. Here we go.
Saw it on Facebook that you got another love. Know you got another love. text you don't answer, and I email your work. I email your work. Phone and text you don't answer, and I email your work. I email your work. I know you've been cheating, and now I'm full with painted hurt. Saw it on Facebook that you got another love. Know you got another love. I saw it on Facebook that you got another love. Know you got another love. You could have told me yourself that you're loving somebody else. I saw his hands on you, touching places I call mine. I saw his hands all over you, touching places I call mine. You see, it ain't gonna hurt if you speak 1,000 words. Hey, yeah, yeah. Saw it on Facebook that you got another love. Know you got another love. I saw it on Facebook that you got another love. Hey. I know you've been tweeting, telling the whole wide world. Yeah. I saw you hugging and kissing, grinning all in his face.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm gonna be introducing a full blues album very soon. That's my blues song that I wrote, produced, singing, playing guitar, blah blah blah. I saw it on Facebook, and you can get it on CD Baby and all this other stuff. Most of you know that the album is coming out. That we're doing a pretty good job with that. But anyway, we're back in the house now, and we have Miss Simone wanted to finish her conversation about her husband, and then you heard the sound of your husband when you were on stage, and you said that you realized that he had been going through this all the time.
Well, just that, what we were saying is that Bernard, being in an interracial relationship, hadn't had these conversations with his significant other. I am in a same race relationship, and I hadn't thought about that situation for my own husband. So it transcends gender, race, all of those things that we just don't think about what other people go through.
Yeah, oftentimes, not all the time, but very, very, very often in the African American relationships, because I personally, believe it or not, have been African American for a while. And I'm not from America. I'm from Mississippi. Isn't this shocking?
The country of Mississippi.
Yeah, and
don't know what I'm going to do now.
And the thing, and the thing that African American men go through, even with African American women, oftentimes the woman is treated just a little bit different or better out in the world.
We're not a threat.
You know, whether you're walking into the banks or stores or the police department. And so often when we as African American men, we come home and we want to talk about it. Well, her experience is totally different sometimes. And she, in her loving way, will say, well, honey, you just got to get over it. or you got to put that behind you, or it's not that bad in some instances, and maybe you're just looking for it. And a lot of times they don't mean any harm, but that's what they do to us. And a lot of the time, we as African American men, even in black and black relationship, we have to pull all of this in now because we have to make peace at home.
I think that obviously you've dealt with it, so you know it to be true. But I think men and women don't communicate in that way. I don't think that that's necessarily a black and black relationship. Yeah. I think that there are women who go home, white women who might go home to their white husband and say, honey, I feel like the boss has been on my ass. They treated me like this or like that. And him, from his male perspective, might say, oh, honey, you're probably just
You're
overreacting.
Absolutely right, but on this particular case, I'm only speaking about racism.
And you're speaking about your own personal.
I'm just speaking about the racism.
I don't think, and because I've never done it,
right?
Don't think that the majority of black women are saying, "Get over it, let it go." Move on, because I feel like
I don't think
affects
you heard the
us.
men. You didn't hear the men.
No, I did hear the collective. I did hear the collective. I did, but to then make that blanket
we're not going to
statement.
use. But here again, I'm saying. I never say all a majority. That's not a part of my language. I'm just saying this happens, and I've had this conversation. I've been dealing with radio and news media and TV and stuff for 30-some years, and I dealt with everybody from politicians on down, and this is what I do. And I'm telling you, the report back, when you sit down and talk to black men sitting with black men, this is part of the conversation. You can ask these black men here. And that, when we say all, we don't say all.
Okay, well, I'm going to say something that is, I think, something that I think the two of you understand. I don't think that the black male voice is a voice that people want to hear. Okay? I think in society, the black male voice is a dangerous voice. And I think that voice, from beginnings on, from I was in kindergarten, I was told to be quiet.
Yes.
And I got in the 5th grade and you're talking too loud.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I maneuver myself to the point where now I don't speak at all unless someone asks me something. Because to me, it's sort of like, if I get a little too loud, someone's going to get a little nervous. And so it's like, okay, I gotta mine the territory and mine the room and mine all of that stuff.
Control the passion.
It's something that's, as I get older and I work with young black males, than young black males that have been labeled a problem. I have to look at the situation and sit down with the black males and sit down with the teachers that say that there are problems and say, let's break this down. He has a voice. He has a right to use his voice. We can't have that person be shut down because his voice is too loud. We've got to figure out another way to make sure that that voice is heard so he doesn't go and swallow his voice. And I think that's something that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
You want to go home and talk to, whomever you're with, and they're saying it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah, I see when because we're having conversations. I don't mean to be dismissive, like oh, get over it. That's just tongue in cheek. I mean,
you're getting to the larger.
I'm giving to the large. Yes, getting to the larger
you know,
picture of
how you know, because we're speaking from a black male's perspective, yes, how we maneuver through the world.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And yes, exactly. And a lot of the times, you know, a lot of the time we as this don't know where the comfort zones are. We don't know where to go and get that spiritual hug, not necessarily from the preacher and not necessarily from the wife. And a lot of time you'll see us go to black men. You see us. We used to gather on the street corners or under the shade tree, not to sell drugs a whole bit, but that was the way we was able to sit down and talk to each other. And then the coffee shops came and with the men clubs and the barber. Yeah, absolutely.
The barbershop is the haven.
It became a place where black men could sit down and talk about and talk about what black men are going through. But the thing about it with Citizen, I'm so glad you guys came here because this is a conversation that it's not an easy conversation.
That's
you know?
exactly right.
It's not an easy
It's
conversation.
not. Yeah.
And the good news is I love the strength that my sister Simone here, the strength of you, the strength of Bernard. I'm just kidding. I got his name, Bernard,
okay.
because that's what it takes to have the dialogue. As you were saying when you first came here, that people are afraid to push back and people are afraid to say when they're hurt. You know.
Oh, you wanted me to elaborate on that.
Only if you wanted to. It's open mic.
I just want to say,
yeah.
I want to say, just listening to what the conversation that you two were just having, for me, is an eye opener. Because it's like when you have to study a subject in school, like you're studying a history subject or something, and you don't really care because it's something you have to study, right? But then you see a documentary, or you actually talk to a real person that has an experience of that, and it becomes real to you for the first time because it's not dry anymore; it's human. And it was so interesting just listening to that discussion for me, and that's kind of what this whole play has been in my life, has been just feeling like my eyes are different, you know, than they ever were before. And it's because I've connected with these people and we're friends and we're going through this thing together. And so it's been really fascinating.
I tell you a quick. I don't want because I don't want to get into my personal life, but I had give you a situation I had. Someone very dear to me, white lady, very dear to me. We met out of town, and she was so excited for me to go to this restaurant that every time she's in town, this is the restaurant she go to. Just excited about it. And then when I walk in there, I'm the only black person in there. And you could feel it. You could cut it with a knife. And what a lot of people don't realize, I'm going to say most of us, racism hit us like this. You know, when a guy walk into a club, the old thing, you visualize 2-3 women sitting at the bar. Cliche. And the 3 women look at us, me, walk through the bar. They'll let me know right away whether I can come over and talk. You women could look at a guy and cut him apart, let him know, oh no, don't even come this way, or it might be okay if you walk the right way, or you have all of this language to let us know whether or not you're approachable the minute we walk in and kind of scan the room. Racism is the same way. It hits you when you walk through the room and the eyes and the body language start to speak much louder than what a person can say.
Man, that was a good analogy.
Yeah.
Where you were going, but you went there, and that was good. That's
Yes.
good.
You know, it's kind of like when you in the club.
It's universal too. Yeah,
it's
club.
universal,
Yeah, club. Oh yeah, sure.
But my white friend, then this was last year, decided the waitress decided to sit us around as far as around the horseshoe curve, unseen back behind the curtain with a spider web and all of this stuff and all of this. And she cried so hard because out of all the time she's been to this little area, been to this little town, she never knew that even exists. And that's a lot of time what happens with the unspoken word. Racism is an unspoken word not most of the time, many times. I am blessed enough that I communicate in sign language. I actually can teach introduction to sign language. And sign language is about 80% body language.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is the actual signs. And so then you get in tune with reading people's body.
Yes.
And that's what we do with racism. We send these signals out here and we become these receivers, and then we actually feel the pain and shock behind it.
Yeah, I think, the play and the way that it's been constructed and the staging and all that, it's all about those moments of the body positioning and what happens with the body. There's
I like that.
There's a moment in the play where, one of my manifestations is in an airplane, and a father and a son and a daughter come in, and the daughter immediately wants to sit in the middle, and the father says, "No, I will sit in the middle." And so the whole conversation that happens in that moment is all physical, because it's very little dialogue after "I'll sit in the middle." There's nothing else after that.
It's a white father and a white daughter.
Yeah. And so you get
And
to
so
see.
the white father says, "I'll sit next to the black man."
Right, yes.
Protecting his.
I got to see this play,
and
man.
so you get to see the body positioning, what the language of the body is happening. And so you're right when you say that if you're waiting for racism to come out of people's mouths, you're waiting a long time, because you've missed the clues already.
The subtlety.
Yes. Absolutely, and the thing about it, we all, we at this point in time, coming from my country, Mississippi, I thought I would have grown to the point that I lived to see racism leave, but it's not going to leave, in my estimation, and in my belief. I just think management is something that we all have to kind of play a part in. How do we manage ourselves as the receivers and the givers?
I've got a question for
Please.
you. Why do you think
Yeah,
racism is not going to leave?
Yeah, I was about to hop on that one too.
Let me see, do I have enough time? Because you're talking about people seeing this as their survival. And it's the survival of the gene pool that people at an animalistic level, you have a survival of the gene pool. That is something that is innately built in every human being and every animal out there. I'm not talking about the consciousness of the survival of the fittest or survival of the gene pool. The duck wants to reproduce with the duck. The dog wants to reproduce with the dog. The cat wants to reproduce with the cat to carry on the gene pool. Racism is a subtle, natural way or natural blockage of keeping everybody in line and that fight for the reproduction of that gene pool. It's a battle over the gene pool.
I want to go.
You go.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Because I don't look at it that way. And I think that part of what keeps us all consumed and obsessed with race is because this country is set up to keep us consumed and obsessed with race. Because if we actually looked at what is really happening, if we actually looked at the huge disparagement of wealth in this country, and it is not singular to white people, it is not singular to black people. If we looked at what really divides us and why race was even created in this country, it was created because they had to figure out, okay, we've got all these indentured servants over here. Mm-hmm. And now we've decided that, and we've got some of these black slaves, we need to figure out how to keep them separate so that they don't revolt together. Yeah, if everyone was told, you know what, if the ducks and the geese, if the ducks and the chickens mate, you all will then become a part of the ruling class and you can have access to wealth, then everybody would be looking for a chicken.
Only for the sake of time.
I don't think that all black people are trying to hold on to being black.
No. I'm not talking about at a conscious level. Only for the sake of time, I'm cutting you down. I'm not talking about at a conscious level. I'm talking about at the Darwin level of survival. But let me just say this.
That's true.
Now I'm going to talk about travel. I've been to China. I've been to Japan. Uh-huh. I've been to all over Europe. Uh-huh. I've been to the Malaysia. Uh-huh. The darker people in every continent on this planet, they are keeping them down and poor in every country.
Why? Because American colonialism has spread around
some of that is true.
Introduced that.
British colonialism, and that is the way to keep people divided so that they don't look at. No, it's all true. So that they don't
I wouldn't say all, but
race is not a scientific construct.
Not scientific. It is a social construct to keep people financially separated.
Okay, I love this.
It is, and if we are all consumed with they're white
supremacists,
we're black,
but see, I understand what. Let me see to go along with where
I'm
agree
going
with you
along
at.
with it.
What happened is during the Jim Crow, before Jim Crow and the releasing of the slave, the whites wanted to uprise and ask the manufacturers and the farmers for better pay and better cost of living. The way to shut them down was to say, if you don't shut up and quit asking for a higher pay, we're going to hire these Negroes that we just freed. Then the big corporation got together and said, okay, that's a good idea. We'll put the fear of white people that they'll lose their job because we're going to hire these slaves now and give them the same wages or lower wages than we're going to give these whites. So, okay, well, how do we keep these white people holding on and working harder for lower wages? Then what they said, well, we'll make them feel better than the blacks. And how are we going to do that? Then we'll put the white fountain and the black fountains, and then we'll put the white restroom in the white restroom. We won't let them go to black people have to go to the back door, white people have to go to the front door. And then I think it was one of the presidents that said that if you make the poor white person feel better than the most educated black person, then you could pick that poor white person pocket all day
You are
long.
only confirming
Yes.
what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
You're agreeing with her.
That's what I said.
But
Yeah.
it's not genetic.
No.
It's not
I
a-
said,
an underlying-
wait a minute, hold on. You're missing my point. I said I'm showing you how I agree with her at that level.
Okay.
I'm not, but there is a natural level that I'm
You're
talking
saying
about
that's
that is
natural.
beyond
It's innate
that.
and everything,
And it's not
going to
never
go away.
It's
That's what
not
you're
going to
saying.
go away. It's
Okay.
not. That's not going to go away.
Okay.
I mean, this is my beliefs. There's little studies and little science.
The species may go away.
The species may die off. But what you just said was very right as far as the economics.
Mm-hmm.
But when you travel around the country, around the earth, and you see the darker people are around the earth in each of these communities, they are being basically attacked. And
Because
that's
if
just
it
a
works one place, if you look at America, which we have lauded as the most
I love this.
successful
Let me
country
know.
in the world, if you look at our model, why not reproduce it? So if you want to make, if you want to be successful,
this is so lovely. The time is going out. Go ahead.
I just want to let you know that when Hitler was going to exterminate the Jews, he took the American model of what the Americans did with the Native American people.
Thank you.
The only
So
difference
that's
with that,
because this is the model that people want to emulate.
absolutely right. But the only thing you're leaving out on the Hitler versus the Native American. The Native American was different tribes and different bloodlines. Judaism is a religion that they tried to convert and turn it into a bloodline. And even the Jews themselves at the time and the people around the world begged Hitler, said, do not make Judaism a bloodline. And that's what Hitler did.
No, but all he's saying is that Hitler looked at the
Looked
model.
at the model.
Yeah, the model, but the model was started in South Africa. See, the model wasn't started with Hitler, and the model wasn't started right here with America.
But
the model was started with colonialism going into Africa.
But
the
America
perfection of
I
the model.
love these guys. Look,
perfected the model.
I agree.
We all came from Europe.
Go ahead.
I just want to put in a plug for the show that this conversation can be continued because
In the lobby.
we in the lobby afterwards we love to stand
Not
around
during the play.
and
so
not
tell
during
us where the play is going to be.
It's at the Fountain Theater. You can go to fountaintheater.com to get tickets.
Is it
What
Or
is
is
it?
it just
This is Fountain Theater.
Fountaintheater.com.
I'm from Mississippi, so you better say that.
Okay, fountaintheater.com.
And the name of the play is
And the
Citizen
name of the play
and
is
American Lyrics.
Citizen and American
Citizen
Lyric.
and American
and
Lyric.
and listen, it's a short, power-packed show. It's an hour and 8 minutes, and it's a non-traditional show. It's been called a collage of spoken word, as we've been talking about, these snapshots of moments in time, and also uses movement and video, and there's a lot going on. So
We're going to have to end the show here. And I so agree. I don't on this show. I don't say what's politically correct. That's why I go straight to the gene. We got to start looking at what is going on with that, and whether we agree with it or not. But just do a little study on that. But before we leave, I'd like to give everybody with Citizen and American Lyrics, and I want to start with Lisa. Give us some words of wisdom to say goodbye to the audience with.
Oh, starting with me? Okay. I just say, come see the show. Come join the conversation. It'll be an eye-opener, whether you're white or black. We want to hear from you afterwards and see how it impacted you.
Bernard, give us some words of wisdom before we go.
I just like to say that join the conversation, but let's not have the conversation go in a circle. So the hope for this is that the conversation goes to some place of impactfulness where there is a change, even if it's just a personal change.
Love it. There you go. You got the floor, girl.
I would say come and see the show, and be prepared to be uncomfortable, and then be prepared to go home and actually have a real conversation with those people that you know and love, and perhaps didn't think about things from this perspective.
I just want to thank you guys so much. I love the feedback. I love the pushback. I love the heat. I love I love the whole thing because I'm a pretty hard guy myself. But racism is not going anywhere. It's how we learn to manage each other feelings and how we learn to manage our relationship. It's how we learn to manage our relationship with each other. I don't care if white people don't like me. I don't care if Asians don't like me. I don't care if blacks don't like me. What I care about is fair and equal laws and fair and equal opportunities and laws enforced fairly. That's the best we can ask for because racism is not going anywhere. Anyway, remember, a nation can rise no higher than it elevates its woman. This is Larry Yates, CEO Show. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye.